Hey, Alan, Dennis, thanks for the phone call this morning. Glad you had a good time in Las Vegas. So, hey, this is just a sample of a way you could do an estimate in Sage 100. It's our basic estimating. Happens to be a painting estimate, so this is kind of something I just put together. So up here's where we can just drop in our assumptions. So I can drop in my quantity, and you can get that quantity from PlantSwift, obviously. What my production rate per hour is for my journeyman, how many square feet I get out of a gallon, how many square feet can I wash per hour, etc. And then I just plugged in how many hours I want on this job. I could have it calculated, but for some reason I set this job up where we just go ahead and drop those in, and then I have no idea what this one was. Paint equals quantity. That's just how many gallons of paint. So, long story short, I come down here. This is what we call an assembly for supervision. It says, hey, the quantity for hours here is the square feet divided by 2,000. Just a formula. I want an hour for every 2,000 square feet. So, it comes up with 1250. Down here, I come up with square feet divided by times another rate, so I can do it that way. A couple different ways to do it. Again, this is just a demo. None of this data really means anything. Down here for the power washing, I take the square foot, which is a 25,000, divided by this formula PWR, which is 2,100 feet per hour. It comes up and tells me I need 11.9 hours of a power washer at 650 an hour. That's the equipment. And then the apprentice is 11 hours at 1970 an hour with burden. And then I had 11 hours of power washing labor here at 125. Okay. Again, this is probably supposed to be 1250. I don't know how I got 125 in there. So just more power washing dollars. Okay. Down here, same thing. Here's my prime, 25,000 square feet up here. I'm just going through and doing these formulas. Quantity of paint equals this. The man hours for the foreman is here. I just plug that in. The journeyman, the 16 hours, the 35 hours, and the 15 hours because I wanted to plug it in here rather than doing a production formula. And then I have sundries, and I just said, hey, I want to take the square foot times a penny. So it puts in 250. So you get the idea here. This is just like your Excel. We will build it and show you how to build it so it mimics your Excel. The nice part is when I have to go order this paint, and I just happen to have Home Depot in here. It could be any other vendor. And then down here as well, I can actually create the purchase order to do that. And so when I'm ready to buy that paint or order some equipment, I can actually have it create the purchase order for that job, okay, which saves a lot of time. In addition, on the other side of your business, and I'm just going to go into a different job here. Let's go to job 35. Let me open this up a little bit. This is a total different side. This is where you're the GC. Here, I'm taking 3 prices from a concrete subcontractor. I'm taking 4 prices from a concrete sign, 1 from a finished carpentry, etc. You get the idea here. And then I can say these are the vendors that provided me the price. This is the price that they quoted me. Only one that's going to get extended into the bid is the one where I have a 1. Let's say this guy is not my favorite today, and I want to go with this guy here. I put a 1 in here. And then recalculate just like I do in Excel. This is now what's going to go to my bid, $1,400. Again, nice part is after I get this job and I know who my subs are, I come up, I go export, print these subcontracts, and I say for this job. And I got to save this real quick. Export subcontracts by job. Yes. The only one I have, I've done all these again, so I'm just recreating some of these. So I'm going to do that, export that. I'm done. So I come over here. I say project management. Let me see my subcontracts. And obviously I'm going to go to the last one in the list here. There is, Sonoma Masonry for the $68,000. I now can go ahead and print that subcontract to give to them. A couple ways to do that. We have a program that will allow you to print those into Word. That's how you're doing your subcontracts now. It'll basically do a mail merge to populate all of this information in there. Like if you had 10% retention on this job, and the scheduled start date, you want to put that on there as well, and a few other things. We can do that right into that. Or if you want, you can create them in here. And I have a short one just to give you an idea of what this would look like. These are some ones that we created for other. Obviously, We would want to get yours and use yours, not somebody else's. But real simple. Here's the project information, project, what phase of work they're doing. Here's area subcontract information. Here's the amount of the subcontract. Here's some license information that we need to get from them. The owner's name, the architect's name, and then down here, a bunch of boilerplate information. You know, just what we call kind of the generic things that they're just going to get them to agree to. And so I think this one's like 5 pages long. But it's put, as you can see, it's putting everybody's name in and everything. It's filling all that in for you. So it's just printing out that standard document for you. But nobody's going to have to sit there and type that information. So that's how we handle the GC side. I want to show you a couple of reports. I'm going to try and keep this thing under 10 minutes here, just to give you an idea of what we can do. But this report here, I think, should be really helpful. Get something that has some hours in it. So put your items in here. This is a pressure washing, prime coat, or exterior coat, trim, whatever that is. These are the hours that you budgeted. These are the hours processed through the payroll. So I can see, like on line 3 here, I had 58 hours budgeted. I used 36. So the computer or the calculator, whatever you want to call it, says, hey, you use 61% of the hours. But then looking at the job, your foreman or superintendent says, at the end of the week, boss, we were 80. We're gonna make this a good job. We're 85% complete with doing that item of work. I can tell you now that you're gonna probably need 6 hours to finish it, and you're gonna be 16 hours over budget. And I'm sure you've had jobs to go this way too. So he comes back and say, we're having a tough time, Allan. We're only about 45% complete. Well, now I can look and say, hey, I need another 44 hours out there, and I'm going to be 21 hours over budget. The purpose of this is just not to put anybody's feet in the fire, but as I'm doing this, I can look at these items when I come back to bid the next job to see if I hit my budget or not. Or if I just want to know how well the job did, I can come down here to the bottom and say, hey, I budgeted this many hours. This is where I'm going to wind up when I'm done with the job. I'm going to be 38 hours over budget, or about 3% more hours than I anticipated. So one way of looking at it. The other way that a lot of our clients like to look at it is this way. And again, this is the way I was born and raised. All the time I spent in construction was about 30 years in a heavy highway. And we were really a unit price type of contractor. We wanted to know exactly what it costs to do every unit. So just a simple example. And this could be painting, okay? Your budget was $36,000, $37,000 I say. And let's say, for argument's sake, this is 48,000 square feet of exterior that you have to paint. The cost is that so far. That's your payroll plus burden, any paint you bought, any equipment you charged for the job. The guy in the field says, hey, boss, we got 187 of those done today. I can look here now and say, hey, with all my costs in the system, I'm budgeted 77 a unit. I'm spending about 74.5 a unit. So I'm looking pretty good on a unit cost, and this is where I'm going to wind up when I'm done, about $1,200 under budget. Again, these numbers are okay while you're running the job. They give you a good idea where you are. But at the end of the job, I can come back and say, hey, exterior painting on a 25-foot tall wall or a 25-foot building, this is my unit cost. It's $74 square foot. Obviously, this is not what it's going to cost you. It's obviously a lot less than that. But I can come here and look, how well did I do against my budget? But before I bid another job just like that, I can come in and look at the last 3 or 4 jobs and look at this task code and say, hey, this job was 74, the job before that was 75, and the job before that was 73. You know what? I'm going to this job with a $75, $76 budget. I feel pretty comfortable. If that estimate in front of you was for $57, when it's been costing you almost $20 more than that, you'd have to question the legitimacy of that number. And so that's what this is for. It's to show you what you've done in the past to make sure that you use that into the future. So some pretty nice reports there. 140 different job cost reports in our system. So that's 2 of the 140. The other thing I think you will use for your small jobs is this work order. You'll notice I just popped up the next work order. I'm going to put the client in because they're already in there from doing some marketing. Happens to be Jessica. By the way, my Jessica here owes me $15,000, so maybe I'm not going to go out and do this job. And this is wallpaper in main dining. something like that. Okay, it's a work order. I could start this out as a quote. This will just say this is a new installation. Wallpaper in the main dining room. If you wanted to make it simple, it's square foot. I got 500 square foot, and our normal cost is $555 a square foot. At that point, I recalculate this thing. So right now I'm at $27.75. I might have a cleanup fee. Not cleanup, free fee. And it's a lump sum. It's a one. It's $200. Extra fee for weekend work. Again, it could be lump sum. One of those, and we'll just say it's $200 for a weekend. So I just say, real quick, if I wanted to, I could just have all this set up with part numbers where I just typed in a number, and it would actually type in the description and put in the rate for me. I just don't have any of these in my database. If I do, I don't know what the numbers are. Or you can actually say, be very detailed. Strip and remove, right? Because, maybe they want to do it themselves. I never want to do it myself again. Done enough wallpaper in my old houses. And this is $2 a foot. Prime and patch, is, again, same thing, square foot, 500 square feet, and this is 0.35 a foot. You get the idea. So I can have all these set up with part numbers so I don't have to type this in. I now recalculate this. Here's my bid, it's $43.50. I come down here, and I'm going to print a service quote right here. Just go to the last one here. And so that's what it looks like. Your name, your logo, who it's billed to, it's a project, the line items, what's taxable, what's not taxable. There's the total quote. You get lucky. The client calls you back and says, you know what, I want you guys to do the work. I now turn this into a work order. And now I can send this work order out to my technician to go do. He does it. I come back, and I got the information here to bill it. I create the invoice. So I came in here. I did a quote. I issued the work order to the guy in the field to go do the work, and I can email that to him, or I can print it out. And then they went out and did the work, and then I billed the client for the final quantities, okay? In addition, I could say, hey, this work order is going to be done by my buddy Carlos here. A lot of these columns I can hide. The schedule date is not today. They want us on Wednesday, which I hit my plus sign here. I got that scheduled for Wednesday now. They want us out there at 7 a.m. and we're going to finish by 5. So it's 10 hours and 35 minutes to get there. Pretty simple stuff, right? So I'm going to save this real quick. So now I have Carlos doing that work. You know what? He's going to take Bob Barker with him. Roger Waters here. Same, because it's two guys, okay? And I'm going to save this. So now if I go up here and I look at my dispatch board, there is Roger scheduled to be 7 to 5 out there, and I've got Carlos being scheduled out there. And so I can now look at the thing and go, somebody says, hey, I need Carlos to come out on Wednesday. I say, hey, Carlos is all tied up on Wednesday, but I can send him out there on Thursday or Friday. Friday's good. It's about a 4-hour or 3-hour job. I just do that and then launch a new work order from here and start filling in just like I did before. So nice little dispatch work order system to get guys going in the right direction, know where they need to be, and then profitability reporting off of that. Anyway, Alan, it was meant to just be a kind of an intro to the software, about 14 minutes here. So I'm going to call it quits. If this is something that makes sense to you, let's pick a time later this week. I think I'm pretty well booked out for tomorrow. I've got some times left on Wednesday and Thursday and a few left on Friday. So let me know what works for you. We'll jump online. If you want somebody else in your office to take a look at it, we'll just get in front of a big screen there and we'll show you what we have, answer any questions that may come up as we do that. So anyway, have a nice night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.